Guess what time it is, boys and girls? That's right. It's time for another one of Attack of the Killer Podcast's great unwrapping episodes. On this episode of, you guessed it, Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Time for the show. Yay.
Hey everybody, Insane Mike here, your host of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Welcome to episode, shoot, I didn't write down the episode number. Jason, episode 205. And we are doing another unwrapping episode. Now, if you're new to the show, or maybe you missed the last unwrapping episode, what that is, we're all collectors of a lot of stuff, but primarily movies. And there are times where, we'll buy a movie, and for some reason or another, we will, it'll sit on the shelf forever, still in its plastic, never watched. I may have one or two.
Oh, yeah, right.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think you're the worst of all of us.
Probably. Well, my thing is I go to, pawn shops and secondhand stores, and I just, grab anything and everything.
Uh-huh.
So, that's part of the problem.
You're not alone.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. We all picked a movie out of our collection that we personally haven't seen, and then we all watched all 4 films, and we're going to discuss. But, again, if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. Where the hell have you been? Maybe you discovered us through our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. And what that is, it's our very own network that we created ourselves, where we host, Jason, what are we up to now? 20 different shows on the network, from all shapes and sizes and colors and stuff like that. It's a really cool network, a lot of great shows. You can check out all the shows at thepfpn.com. I'll give you a moment to write that down. One more time, that's thepfpn.com. And again, listening to us for the first time, what we are a horror movie podcast. We're a group of friends, we get together and we discuss our common bond, which is horror films. We pick a topic, like this one being the unwrapping, and we talk about films within the topic. And so we talk freely because we're all just friends here, as if we're just kind of sitting around hanging out. So there is going to be spoilers. Forewarn you. You've been warned. If you like this show and you want to be a part of it, it burns in your soul that you're not a part of this group. Well, you can in some regards by being what we call an attacker. How do you do that? I'll tell you. Go to Patreon. Check us out. Check out our different tiers on Patreon, at AOTKP. And you can become an attacker by being a supporter of the show. And you're like, that's just a silly way of getting us to give money by making us feel like we belong to a group. That's not true, because when you are a Patreon supporter, you do belong to this group. We'll give you a shout out on the show. You can recommend commentaries for us to do. Not just recommend, you could tell us literally. You get an option of picking a movie for us to do a commentary episode of. How about that? You also get extra content, like extra bonus episodes, special videos, all kinds of cool stuff. And that stuff is just for you, the Patreon supporter. So it's like when you get that bonus episode, it's as if we're just hanging out with you and we're talking directly to you. See? One of us. And you become one of us by, again, going to Patreon, AOTKP, find your tier that best suits you, and be a supporter today.
It's so easy, and man, we really, really appreciate it. It helps so much.
Really does. And that's not all.
What?
That's right. We also have a new segment for the tiers of the Patreon, and that is a new show we call Killer Critiques. It's a video show where each different attacker will attack one single film,
Yeah, nice.
discussing discussing the film. It could be one of their favorites. It could be one that they hate.
Doing a deep dive.
Yeah, doing a deep dive on a particular title. I've done a couple already that are a lot of fun. And that is even more content we're giving you by being a Patreon supporter. So, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our sponsor, Shudder! Shudder is the Netflix for horror. If you have not signed up yet, you need to. You need to be a subscriber to Shudder. You need the service. If you're a horror fan at all, and I'm assuming you are if you're listening to this show, you need to sign up for Shudder. That's it. That's all I gotta say. No, wait! I have something else to say. What? Wait, were you gonna say something? I thought somebody started to say something. You can get a month of Shudder for free on us. So if you're still not there yet, you're still like, man, I don't know. Well, you can get a month for free on us. When you go to sign up for Shudder, just put in the promo code AOTKP and you get a month for free on us. So there you go. What is stopping you now? Jeez. Okay. So, with that said, probably getting tired of hearing me talk, so it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. I did not write any intros for this episode, so that good, everybody.
Hey.
Like Fonzie.
Hey.
Up next, everybody's favorite Killer Podcast member, whose first name is Andy. Andy, everybody.
A, which is the first letter of my name.
And lastly, he puts the Jason in Jason. Jason, everybody.
Hey. I have one of those in my name. Guy did the best intros ever.
Thanks. Yeah, we all have A's in our name. That's cool. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tad. Tad?
All right, we're going to get to everyone's favorite segment, What We Watched, where we talk about what we've watched since the last time we were all together recording. All right, I have a feeling, since it's been a while, that these are going to be a little long, and we've all been stuck in our houses. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. Jason, go ahead.
Well, first thing I wanted to say before I start, just to make this even longer, I just wanted to take a second. I know we touched on it in our last bonus episode, but I just wanted to say again how grateful I am for you guys and how grateful I am for the podcast listeners out there in this crazy, crazy world right now. This podcast is one of the few things that isn't really affected by it, and I get to keep doing it and keep looking forward to it, and it's really nice having a shining spot in this craziness. So I just wanted to say that first. Oh gosh, I promised I wouldn't do. Okay, first I'm trying to get caught up on all my A24s. Taking a while. There's a lot of them. I checked out High Life. I like that. It's this guy named Robert Pattinson. He's pretty cool.
Ugh, Twilight.
No,
Gross.
come on. He's like really good. He's a really.
I know, I fucking love him, and I hate when people do that shit, so.
So thanks for keeping that going. But no, it's cool. It's like it's a cool movie because it's basically him and a baby, his baby, are kind of the last ones left alive on the spaceship.
Oh.
And I mean, there's flashbacks and stories of how it got to this point and how that works out. But it's really neat. It's great. Of course, it's A24, so the cinematography was outstanding, and he, of course, was really great too. I liked it a lot. I got to see the Impractical Jokers, the movie.
Me too.
Me 3.
Yeah,
Okay, just 3, but it was really good. I freaking love those guys.
Oh, me too. I'm pretty sure my son was embarrassed by me because I would not stop laughing. Like, literally. I can't even look at those guys and not laugh at them. They could be doing nothing.
Yeah.
They could be giving a eulogy, and I would be cracking up.
Yeah, especially Joe. But yes.
Especially Joe. He's my favorite Impractical Joker time? Mine's Joe.
Oh, boy. I lean towards Q. But Joe is...
Good. Tad, what about you?
That's a tough one. It sort of
Depends
on my mood. Like, obviously, Joe's the most fearless and crazy, and the most, like, he can keep the straight face through everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the one I relate to most is Q. But Sal's probably my favorite just because he suffers so much. Like,
Right.
he's not at all a good sport about any of it. He hates every fucking challenge. He's not good at it.
Nope.
And so they torture him for it, and it's hilarious.
Yep, he... Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Tina and
That
I...
bit with Joe in the caves was probably the best bit.
Oh,
I thought.
yeah.
Oh, between that and Sal with the tiger in his room.
Joe in the cave was definitely the best part, but, like, I think it was just the crowd wasn't in the cave, just couldn't comprehend how funny it was. I don't know. It was funny for me.
Right.
So good.
Well, and then, to make this relevant to our show,
Oh, right.
Tad, did you see the sweet-ass cameo?
Hodder?
Yeah, Kane Hodder is in there.
Well, he's been on, like, all the Joker's cruises. Did you know that?
I figured as much because so has
Adam Green.
Adam Green. Yeah, and, they're all buddies, so I'd assume. And Q is in
What-
Victor Crowley, so...
Yeah, what a strange little, like, small world connection, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great, though.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I will say, like, the wraparound I didn't like that much. Like, we don't even need a wraparound for me. Just give me this, like, an hour and a half of really funny.
Yes, but like I really liked it. Like
Well, every time they knock on
Because it's so
Murr's
dumb.
room and whatever's going on inside, I thought it was hilarious.
it's the one thing you would want if you said, "Give me a movie of these guys." You want it to be a road movie, and it was so great. And the Paul Abdul shit was so hilarious to me. And I'm still not convinced that home video footage wasn't real.
Of them crashing the concert at the beginning.
Yeah. Because it looked really good in its badness. I don't know.
I did laugh a lot when was it Sal was like when they were picking them all up in the car, and Sal told his dad, like, I'm gonna go and there's probably gonna be like drinking. His dad's like, yes, please leave. He's like, and there might be marijuana. And he's like, yes, go now, leave. That was pretty damn funny.
Sal's dad's awesome.
Yep.
Big fan of the show. It's constantly on at Tina's. It was a perfect date night movie for sure. Then I saw Guns Akimbo. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, me too.
It was so
I
good.
think I talked about it on the last one though, so I don't need to input.
Yeah, you did. So just refer to that episode. No, it's great.
What I think of it.
Yeah, I loved it, of course, because I like everything. I don't usually sign up for just straight action films, but it's Daniel Radcliffe playing this part, and it was damn good. Great style.
Yeah, like nobody, like I watched it with Nikki and Adam, and neither of them recognized Samara Weaving.
I still
Like,
can't see her face in the
It was
character.
Yeah, we were like 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I'm like, you guys know who that is, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
is that D from Sunny? I'm like, no. She had shaved eyebrows, and it just like you took off her eyebrows, and she looked completely different.
Yeah.
Still very gorgeous, obviously, but
Only when
what
she
a-
talked could I kind of
Yeah.
see it.
she fucking rules, dude. Like
Yeah.
she's the best right now.
Anything that I've seen her in, I've liked.
Yes.
You know, between Ash versus Evil Dead and Ready or Not, and even she was
Mayhem.
in.
Mayhem.
Yes, of course that,
Yes.
and she was in a show on Showtime called Smilf. And
What's
I'm
that stand
serious,
for?
that's the name of the show.
Yeah, what's
Single mom.
single
I'd like
moms?
to-
Oh.
I'd like to feather. Got it.
Uh-huh. Yes, it was great, and she was great, and the movie's great. Check it out. Next, I also saw, since the last time I got to marathon The Outsider on HBO. Holy fuck, it's great. It's based on Stephen King. It starts it's got Ben Mendelsohn. You'll will know him if you saw him, but he's amazing. It's kind of just a cop, policey type, dark ass drama. Jason Bateman's in it and directs some of it.
Oh, nice.
Yep, and then it starts turning supernatural, and it's so based and driven in reality, and I can't recommend it enough. It's outstanding. It's on HBO. I watched The Art of Self-Defense.
I have that on my list. I really want to watch it.
It's so great.
That's what I've heard.
Oh man, I mean it's like just one of those comedies that are so dry, the driest of dry and weird. It doesn't go as far as what's your favorite one with the Greasy Strangler? It doesn't go that far, but it's closer to that than any normal comedy.
More
just in
towards Napoleon Dynamite, maybe.
maybe it's just it's fantastic. And it's really good, and it's on Hulu, I believe.
Yeah, it's on Hulu, and like I'm a huge fan of Jesse Eisenberg.
Yep.
Yeah.
People either love him or hate him. I love that guy. He's another one where I feel like anything I watch with him is pretty damn good.
Agreed.
I mean, Social Network. I can watch that every week if I just.
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that movie. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what he's so good. I have a feeling like people who maybe are Jesse Eisenberg haters is because they've watched Social
Because he
Network.
plays a prick.
But my second favorite's Adventureland, probably.
Right.
I could watch
Great.
that movie
I
every
cannot
week too.
get into Adventureland.
Oh, I love
I
it.
just
Go
watched
back
it
to
like
it.
a week ago.
Maybe I should, because it's been a while.
It
And
gets
I think,
better and better for me.
I think the last time I did watch it, it was like before I knew and could really appreciate who Jesse Eisenberg is. But
Oh, I love it. Okay, and then sometimes we just leave the TV on and we'll wake up to something playing. And I totally had no idea about this. In fact, I thought it was just some TV show when it started, but it was on like TBS or something. So I was confused. But then it's from 2014. I guess it's just a comedy, but it's called Let's Be Cops.
oh yeah,
Has
isn't
anybody
that-
seen that? Because I fucking laughed my ass off.
God, who's in that? I don't remember.
Rob Riggle, Jake Johnson's the main guy, Damon
Yeah,
Wayans
I know.
Jr.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about. Because Jake Johnson is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, he was so funny. Yeah, just some dumb little comedy, and I know it's not horror, but I laughed so hard through the whole thing. I definitely want to say it. I watched from 1960 Dinosaurus.
No,
Yep.
you did?
Totally.
Hold on. With riff tracks.
You know it.
Damn it.
So good. Not. Then I was, because of one of the movies on the list today, was talked about because of Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm.
So then I kind of went on unintentionally at first, but as soon as I saw her in these couple movies, I ended up watching them just because she was great in that movie that we're going to talk about later. But I watched Gemini Man. She was outstanding in it. It's Will Smith. It was great. It was better than
a
I
young
thought.
and old Will Smith.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's okay.
yeah. It was again. It was just kind of a straight action film. It wasn't as futuristic as I thought it would be, which was good. It was. I don't know. The story was better. The lessons and stuff were better than I thought it was going to be. Because I don't have high hopes for just straight action movies, but it was good, and she was awesome in it. And so then we also watched Birds of Prey last night, and she's in that. She's in that too as the Huntress, and she's hilarious in it.
Yeah, she's badass. Yeah.
The Superheroes Wear Jeans movie. Got it.
Oh.
There's no costumes. I boycott that movie.
Huh.
I'm letting my inner comic book geek out on this one.
On that one, too bad because
Well,
it's
if it makes you feel
really
any
funny.
better, she's probably nobody knows what happened to her when she was wearing that costume in Death Proof. That was never tied up.
Mm-hmm.
What, the cheerleading outfit?
Yeah, and the cheerleading outfit. Then they never went back to her. They left her with that hillbilly that had the Dodge Challenger.
Yeah.
And he got and he got into his his rapey, just sort of
Yeah.
And then lastly, I can't stress enough. I know Tad's already talked about it, but this movie was incredible. Every minute of it. The Invisible Man. Tina and I watched it yesterday, and I haven't seen her gripped with fear and tension for 2 hours as I did. I mean, just it's
The opening fucking 5 minutes. Holy shit!
oh
man.
my god! Yes, and then it just
Wow.
keeps going because there's so much not. Is he there? Is he not there? The way Lee Winnell crafts the scares around the absence of things as much as things being there is it's amazing.
That guy's range just continues to impress me. He can do the way. I mean, he wrote Saw, and then he goes and does something like Cooties and Upgrade and stuff like that. I mean, just the way he's all across the board. He's just really good writer in just any kind of genre, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed. The movie was amazing. It was so freaking amazing. And the score, holy shit, I forgot I was going to come home and get that. I had my ears had quite the boner for that.
Ear boners.
Yep, and those are the things I've been watching.
Well, that's not too bad. That was a good list, and
Oh, and then I'll stop.
Nah, no. Andy, what did you watch?
Well, I'll try to go as quick as I can. TV wise, I've been watching Westworld and Hunters. Watch both those. Those are really good shows. Have you guys heard about Hunters?
Yep.
Heard of it? Yeah, it looks really good.
Yep.
I just haven't pulled the Band-Aid off yet.
So far, it's really good. Basically, it takes place in New York in 1977, and it's a group of former Holocaust survivors and other people that don't like Nazis, and they realizing that, of course, they don't like Nazis, but they realize that a lot of Nazis are secretly fled to the United States, and they're hunting them down, and they expose them, for the real pieces of shit that they are. Really good show. I suggest you guys check it out on Amazon Prime. Westworld, I would assume, a lot of people know what that's about because it's already on season 3. I won't get too into that, but against my better judgment, I listened to Tad and I watched VFW and Guns Akimbo, and I'm so glad that I didn't listen to myself because those are awesome freaking films.
Dude, VFW like I was like, Andy's gonna love this fucking.
Oh my god, I love that. I mean, I liked it. I loved Guns Akimbo, and then I watched VFW, and I'm just like, holy shit! This is, guys. I'm gonna tell you this right now. It's probably already going to be in my top 10. That's how bold of a statement I'm making here, like towards the end of the year. It's got every bit of the griminess of Hobo with a shotgun with a fucking assault on Precinct 13 kind of theme to it, with old, nasty, crabby ass, veterans that just literally take no shit. Love that movie. Absolutely love that movie. I checked out an A24 movie. Thought it was, I mean, it was well done. I just thought it was a little bland. It's called It Comes at Night, and it's about this sort of this plaguey sort of future where these people are living out in the woods, and it was well done, but it just really moved slow, and it's got basically people with like trust issues and stuff like that. It's got Joel Edgerton is in it, which we will talk about later in this episode, and it was okay. Once is enough for me.
I agree with that one. I liked it, but yeah, definitely not gonna go back to it.
Yeah. I have a little bit older film done by Christopher Coppola, and it's called Deadfall, and it's got Nicolas Cage at his Nicolas Cageiest. Whoa, wow. Just, you talk about him chewing scenery and just acting freaking weird. Watch Deadfall, and it's just about him being involved with like other con artists. He's like a secondary character. But yeah, just his dialogue in this and just him going absolutely nuts. Let's see, we got Peter Fonda is in it. Charlie Sheen plays like a billiard hustler in it with like this really long pinky nail. It's just a weird fucking movie.
Sounds like a David Lynch movie.
It kind of draws from that a little bit, but it's all about it's like this long con game, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's not a really great movie per se, but it's worth one watch just to watch Nicolas Cage go completely apeshit. It's hilarious, and sometimes the trouble is I didn't have like subtitles on this, and you almost need them for Nicolas Cage in this because you can only really understand him when he's like yelling and going crazy. Other times he talks like in such like this weird like he sounds like Stallone drunk, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, weird movie. Another one I've been wanting to see for a long time, and it's a really old school grindhouse movie. It's from Sweden. It's called Thriller, A Cruel Picture with Christina Lindberg. And I got the Synapse one.
You got is that the porn one?
Yeah. There's parts of this that is like literally hardcore pornography. While I'm watching, I'm like, whoa, okay, wasn't expecting that.
But you could tell it's all inserted in the film. See, the story behind it is they made the movie, and then like the financiers or whatever, decided they wanted to go hardcore with it. So like all those like porn scenes are extreme close up, and it's not any of the actual actors in the movie. It's just like inserted like porn shots.
That's twice she said inserted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's about this deaf girl that basically gets trapped into basically this guy gets her addicted to heroin, and then basically basically sex traffics her, and yeah, the only way she gets her fix is basically, she basically goes to work. But during that time, she saves, what little bit of money she has to like get gun training and basically end up getting her revenge on this nasty pimp that got her, hooked on drugs. And I guess that's what made like, some of like the sex scenes more tolerable. She wasn't like begging for her life, because I get like really squeamish around that sort of stuff. I don't really like that, but this was actually pretty tolerable, and she gets her revenge pretty pretty well. So I mean, this actually predates I Spit on Your Grave, and of course it predates I think a lot of the rape revenge films, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good. But yeah, Thriller, A Cruel Picture. It's also known for under a different name. They call her One Eye because like there's a close up of where this pimp, and it's like full tilt Fulci, man. I mean, because like at first she's like resisting all this stuff. Like she scratches one of the Johns in the face, and he basically takes an X-Acto knife and carves her eyeball out. I mean, and it's like in
Ouch.
real close up, like Fulci style, because he likes gouging people's eyes out all the time. Anyway, but she can't scream, because she's deaf. She can't even talk. So, but yeah, Thriller. I would. It's worth a watch. I mean, I'll probably watch it again. Because yeah, it's a good movie. Not for the hardcore porn, but okay, maybe that too. But but yeah, Thriller, A Cruel Picture. I also watched a Lucky McKee film. It's called May. Have you guys heard of this?
Love it.
Love
so
May.
much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just watched it for the first time. Anna Faris and Jeremy Sisto. I was actually really pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's a bit of a slow burn, but I mean, it's just like this chick is like. She must have been like the character of May must have been like so sheltered because she gets like super super creepy, but at the same time you have like this weird sense of empathy for her. You feel sorry for her because she's not trying to be weird. She just is.
Oh, that slow burn is all worth it for the end there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fuck.
Yeah. And
Oh.
James Duvall's character in this is so damn weird. I mean, and he's actually he's hilarious too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would check out. I definitely recommend May. I mean, I may wait like a couple of years to watch it again, just to kind of let it go away from my mind. I mean, it's something that I wouldn't want to watch right away again, but it was pretty good.
That scene where she takes the doll to the blind kids, and the case gets broken, and those blind kids are feeling around on the ground over all the broken glass. It freaks me out every time.
Yeah, it's definitely cringeworthy. Another one. This is I've had this. Let's see. Here's the weird thing. I know we're doing like an unwrapping. Like a lot of these that I'm like were mostly unwrappings anyway. What I'm doing right now. The last one that I want to talk about is a movie called The Shallows. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-mm.
With Blake Lively.
Oh.
It's just
Yeah. No, I've seen that.
I
Yeah.
thought it was singular. Is it plural?
yeah. The Shallows, plural. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's really really good. I had, it was one of those movies that I couldn't call. I was just like, okay, how's she going to outwit this shark? And the kill scene of the shark, I was just like, oh wow, I don't know how buoys work or any of that shit. I'm pretty landlocked, for the most part, but this movie was really really good. I mean, it was kind of like for the most part, I thought it kept reminding me this is basically Duel on water. You know, the shark is the semi, and Blake Lively is the Dennis Weaver character, and yeah, I really really liked it. I thought it was really well done, and granted it's a lot of CGI, but that was done really well too. But the minimum cast and just a little bit of backstory to give it a little bit more drama, I guess, instead of just her fighting against the shark. And the co-star was like a bird, which I thought was that works too.
But I'm sure you felt some of the same vibes from Open Water that you hate. Just
Yeah,
that stranded and
well,
no help.
Open Water, bugged me more because it was just so much more out in the open. It was so much more dreadful,
Yeah.
and at least this way, she saw the light at the end of the tunnel, but getting, to the end of the tunnel was going to be very, very, peril filled. But in Open Water, you this complete nothingness. That's what really bugs me about that movie. But yeah, The Shallows is really really good, and I recommend that. And that is all I got, gentlemen.
All
Watch
right, that's
FW.
I definitely agree with that one. I figured you would like it. Glad that people are actually watching it, and I think everybody I've recommended it to has come back with the same sort of like, holy shit, that was awesome. So, Mike, what did you watch?
I actually have a list too.
Whoa!
Good.
All right.
I know. Well, I won't spend too much time on it because we already did. But I saw the Impractical Jokers movie. It's probably the newest thing I've seen. A lot of older stuff I've watched lately. Watched the movie Spiders from the year 2000. Saw that for the first time.
I'm gonna guess Brandy made you on all the ones that don't sound like something you would
Well, it does.
watch on your own.
It does star Lana Parrilla, who's from Once Upon a Time. She's a huge fan of that and a huge fan of Lana Parrilla. So yeah, we watched Spiders. For the year 2000, the CGI wasn't terrible. I mean, by today's standards, is pretty bad. But I thought it was pretty good for the year 2000. And shockingly enough, like, I feel like it's one of those just like Sci-Fi Channel movies, but all the practical effects were done by K&B. So it was like all the practical spider stuff looked really cool. And also, since I'm in that world of insect movies, I watched Ticks again for the first time in forever. Ticks is awesome. You can't go wrong with like Clint Howard, and
You can always go wrong with
you
Clint
can
Howard.
never go
Clint
wrong.
Howard means you're going wrong.
Oh my god!
Sorry.
Really?
Just
Okay, yeah, because Apollo 13 is a horrible movie.
No, that's good.
Do not
'cause
talk that way about Mr. Baggy Britches.
Ron Howard is why Apollo 13's good.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Now you made me forget. What was I talking about? Ticks. Yeah, Seth Green, Amy Dolenz, and awesome. I'm blanking on his name right now. The other half of Bosom Buddies. That's not Tom Hanks. Anybody? No. All right. He's awesome. And then, of course, Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, completely wrongly cast as a hood. So that's really cool too. And of course, that has some really awesome effects, and it's just a fun movie. Saw Friday the 13th Part 3D on the big screen.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, in 3D.
Oh, shit.
Some little town somewhere, some little theater somewhere.
One of the last theater experiences of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Watched Dr. Detroit for the first time in forever because my girlfriend Brandy has it on DVD and I'm jealous, so she let me borrow it.
That's twice now you said, for the first time again. So which is it?
Forever. Again, since forever. In a long time.
Yeah, duh.
But then it's not the first time.
All right. I'm done with my list. I have
Oh.
more, but...
No! What
done.
else?
No. Watched a movie called Cook Off, which is a comedy. It's in the vein of like the Christopher Guest movies, where it's like a mockumentary, and it's about these very socially awkward people doing a local cook-off competition, and it's really funny. It's got an awesome cast in it. Dietrich Bader's in it. It's got some of the guys from Reno 911. And, of course, my favorite appearance in the movie had to have been probably a toss-up between Gavin McLeod, the ship captain from the Love Boat, and Margie Post, who was on Night Court. It was a really funny movie, made in 2007, but apparently it was shelved till 2017. Oh, it's also got Melissa McCarthy in it. She's really funny in it. But yeah, that was way, way better than I expected it to be. Really funny. Watched a movie, not really movie, kind of more of like a short, maybe, I guess you could say, called The Evil Clergyman. Have you guys heard of this?
Nope.
It is a lost Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs film. It was originally made for Full Moon for an anthology film that never got completed, and they uncovered the footage here a couple years ago and remastered it and released it as its own thing, but it's still only like a half an hour long. And it's not bad. It's pretty good. It kind of reminded me a little bit, if you ever seen the Stuart Gordon's episode from season 1 of Masters of Horror. What was the name? Like the Old Witch House or whatever the name of that one was. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But it wasn't bad, and it was cool getting to see them two so young again in something that I've never seen before. So, but that's my list. That's what I watched.
Excellent. I guess I'll just go through my list real quick. I don't have a whole lot, actually. I also saw Impractical Jokers, the movie. I won't talk much about the movie, but my theater going experience was interesting. We had one guy who sat up in the very first row who was very, very big Jokers fan, probably the biggest Jokers fan, because he was yelling at them as if they could hear him and was cheering them on. And it sort of made it, like, for the first time, someone talking during a movie, it made it better. Like, I was like laughing at this guy. He's like, "Don't do it, Joe. What are you doing? What are you guys doing?" And I mean, he was in the front row, and I was a very opposite. I could not be further from him in the theater, and I could hear him clear as day, and it sort of just made it even better. Also, I was sitting in the top back row, and it was a packed theater, and someone I know walked in and looks up, sees me. He's sitting down towards the front. He sees me, and he goes, "Hey, everybody, Tad Good in the house." And sits down, and a guy like 4 seats down from me starts laughing hysterically, and he's like, "I'm going to enter every room like that and just announce that I'm in the room. What an asshole." And I'm like, "Oh, great. He's going to go tell people that Tad Good walked into the theater and announced he was in the theater." So, yeah, that was a fun experience. I miss going to theaters already. But, yeah, I watched The Hunt on the night before we saw Friday the 13th. I saw that in theaters. That was sort of my last theater experience outside of the Capitol. I thought that was fantastic. Has anyone seen that yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Because it's on demand, or you can watch it now online. Like, they put it out. So I freaking loved it. I think it's awesome. I won't talk too much about it because it's so new, and there's just really no reason for me to sort of spoil things. But if you've seen the trailers, I will say this. When it originally came out, I thought, or the original trailers came out, several months ago, They're promoting it almost, man, it hasn't been a year yet, but it was quite a while ago. And then there was several mass shootings and a lot of presidential stuff going on. So Trump did not like the trailers because the trailers portrayed some like liberal sort of hunting conservatives. He got upset about it, so they delayed the release. Then, they picked the worst fucking weekend ever to actually put it out because, then everyone went into lockdown and no one got to see it. So smart of them to sort of release it online now. It's a new thing we're experiencing now because no theaters are open. But I will say that it is not as controversial as they are promoting it now. I mean, it got pushed back and a lot of people were upset about it, but those people didn't see it. So it's a lot more funny than it is like controversial. It's actually pretty damn funny. So I will say that it's more of a comedy, I would say, and a satire than an actual horror movie. But I highly recommend it. You guys will like it. And then I saw Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. I'm glad we got to do that right before everything went to hell. I would have been bummed if that got canceled. So
Me too.
got to see you for a little bit, and you and
Yeah.
Brandy, and yeah, it was sort of my last hurrah before the theater closes until May. And then afterwards, Blake was not ready to go home, so we came back over to my place, and I put on Shudder and did my favorite thing and just picked one of the 3 channels. And Bloody Birthday had just started.
Nice.
Oh,
Trevor and Blake had never seen it. I'm like, oh, you guys never seen this? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, we're watching this then. They're like, well, I thought we were going to watch Friday the 13th. I'm like, no, dude, you guys got to watch this. And they were just blown away by it, I was like, yeah, I told you guys, it's awesome. So Bloody Birthday again. And then they left, and I turned on Turner Classic Movies at like 4 a.m. and Spider Baby was on. So I was
Whoa.
about ready to go to bed, and Spider Baby pops up, and I'm like, hey, I haven't seen this in a couple of years. I love that movie, so threw that on. Watched The Interview, which I hadn't seen since its an initial release, which was another one that sort of got delayed. I don't know if you guys remember all the controversy behind that one.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, that sort of made it, made the movie what it was, but I still enjoyed the hell out of that one. And yeah, that's all I've really watched. I've watched a lot of series. I started the King of Tigers or the Tiger King on Netflix, the documentary series. Have you guys watched any of that yet?
Nope.
No, what is it?
Oh my god, it's fucking insane. This white trash dude in Florida owns like hundreds of tigers and cheetahs and wild cats. And the basic premise of this documentary, they follow him around and realize that there's this animal activist that's basically trying to shut him down. So they start following her around and realizing she has a crazy story too, where her husband disappeared and people suspect that he was a millionaire, may have murdered him and fed him to her tigers. And then it gets down this really deep hole of these people who own exotic animals. And there's these guys. This guy has like 5 wives, and he collects exotic animals. And it just goes down this rabbit hole, and it never ends. These two people are constantly suing each other, constantly trying to ruin each other's lives. It's just, you could not write a crazier story. I'm only 4 episodes in, and there's no... When it first starts, you're sort of like, oh, this guy, they call him Exotic Joe, and he's the lead main character. Not even a character, the main guy that they're following. But you sort of think off the bat he's the crazy one, that he's collecting all these animals, and has this blonde mullet and all these piercings and always carries guns. You're like, man, this guy's a lunatic. And then you start to find the story behind the people going after him, and you're like, oh, everybody's fucking crazy. So, yeah, just insane series. I watched on FXX on Hulu. There's a new series called Dave that I really enjoyed. I've caught up on it. I didn't realize that it was one of the shows that I think it might air on FXX, so I have to wait till Thursday for a new episode, but I binged and caught up on it, and now I'm sad because I have to wait. But it follows. It's sort of like Louis and Seinfeld and Atlanta and all these shows that follow it's sort of a fictionalized or like an exaggerated version of a real person, and it's this Jewish guy who goes by the name of Lil Dicky. He wants to be a rapper, and it follows him trying to sort of become a famous rapper, and it's very, very funny. So yeah, that's what I've watched.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, it's time now for us to get into the topic at hand and the movies that have been sitting on our shelves that we haven't watched before, and now we're making you watch them with this episode. So, Andy, why don't you go first? What was the movie that's been sitting on your shelf forever that you finally watched?
Well, the movie that I had was a Roger Corman Classics from New Concord, and it is called Humanoids from the Deep.
They're coming. Humanoids from the deep. A tidal wave of rampaging creatures surges from the dark and violent sea to conquer the earth.
Maybe intelligent enough to perceive man as a competitor.
Why the girls?
It's my theory that these creatures are driven to mate with man now in order to further develop their incredible evolution.
It's enough to scare the hell out of me.
Soon the world will awake to a terrifying riptide of humanoids from the deep.
We think we know where these things come from, but we have no idea how many there are.
The earth plunges into a battle for the survival of the fittest, where man is the endangered species and woman the ultimate prize. Anywhere you run, any place you hide, anytime you stop, they will find you. Doug McClure, Anta Kell, Vic Morrow. Humanoids from the deep.
Now, I just want to read the back of this DVD mainly because I think it's hilarious, because I can instantly hear the deep voice guy that did all like those, the promos to make you want to watch it, like the bumpers, it's like he had that deep voice. Something horrendous is happening in the sleepy fishing village of Noyo. An aquaculture experiment has gone very wrong, and the results, fish-like humanoids are rising from the sea to spawn their vengeance. Now, that's pretty much what it's about, but the story goes, it's a coastal town of Noyo, and they're about to, it's a fishing community, and they're about to get a cannery, and they're bringing in more jobs, and a native guy by the name of Johnny and some of his friends, they want to reclaim the land because they don't want the cannery coming in. So there's a lot of going back and forth between, the townspeople and the local fishermen and, this tribesman, and dogs are ending up getting killed, and they're going back and forth because each one's, thinking they're trying to get revenge on one another, and they're trying to, stir up, a bunch of crap in the community, and, trying to drive these cannery people away. But at the same time, there are these creatures that eventually come out, and they begin to, kill the men, and they, I don't know any other way to put this. They start getting super rapey with the local women, and as it turns out, what's her name? Not Susan Boyle, because she was on The Voice or whatever. Susan Drake. Yeah. She works. She works with the cannery, and she wants to. I believe she's injecting this experimental drug called DNA-5 into the salmon, but it turns out these prehistoric fish are actually feeding on the DNA-infused salmon, which then made them humanoid. And in order to be more like humans, they need to procreate, and that's what they are doing with the local women. Wow. Not a thinking man's horror movie. I mean, you just kind of you just really kind of you really got to suspend your disbelief, because the costuming is crazy, but it's really campy shit. But you know what? If you just go with it and have a little fun, I mean, it is Roger Corman.
Just go with it.
Yeah. I will say this: some of the kills to the humanoids and just beating the crap out of them with 2x4s and shooting them. The bloodletting is really good in this movie.
There's quite a bit of gore, yeah.
I gotta say that the scene of the movie for me is when the townspeople at this anniversary were the town anniversary, I believe it's called, I wrote it down, 75th annual Noyo Salmon Festival. The humanoids bum rush this thing and start attacking all the townspeople, and start ripping off bikinis of women. It's just actually crazy. And there's this little baby humanoid. I mean, it was really, really small, but I mean, I guess if they can't have babies with each other, this must have been a small person humanoid. And these guys just bum rush this little humanoid, and they just beat it to death with fucking 2x4s. It's hilarious. I mean, this thing was only stood up to their knees, and there's 5 or 6 guys with boards and bats just beat the piss out of this thing. It's just basically they're defending. They're just defending their town from these weird sea creatures that are, killing the men, killing their dogs, and getting really rapey with their women. And I don't really. There's not really much more to say except the humanoids. I guess costumes were pretty damn hokey, even though I got a kick out of them. And the guy broadcasting, what was going on over the radio was kind of hilarious too. It kind of makes me want a K-Fish visor. I don't have much to say about this. If you take it for what it is, it's good for a laugh. Made in 1980, and the other thing that I found interesting about this film was that it was after all, the sexual assault of women, all this nice. It was actually directed by a woman named Barbara Peters. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, it was directed by Barbara Peters, although she was not happy when Roger Corman went back and filmed more nudity and violence for the film. So Barbara Peters' the stuff that she shot wasn't as graphic as the movie turned out to be, and I think she was pretty pissed when she found that out. So. Yeah.
Well,
I've always loved this movie. Always been a big fan of it from way back in the day of renting it on VHS. This is a total, if you look up the word grindhouse movie, in the dictionary. It's probably got a picture of humanoids from the deep on it. So it is rather exploitive. I for the longest time, that's why I was a big fan of ventriloquism when I was a kid, because I thought that's, if you were really good at ventriloquism, you can get girls to take their clothes off.
Well, yeah, she did look good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
And and it's got that whole like 70s like environmental message to the horror film, like chemicals getting spilled into the in the water kind of thing, which I've always been a fan of, that whole like nature gone wild aspect of 70s films.
Yeah, and plus Corman kind of has like that. He still always has that atomic age sort of flair, like Beast with 1,000 eyes. There's like radioactive stuff spilled into the water and blah blah blah. Sorry, continue.
That's all right. I believe, if I remember right, like Rob Bottin created the monster suits, and I like the design a lot of the monsters. I get it; they're a little stiff, and the parts that really, I think, ruin the costume are those extended arms. Anytime you do something like that, it doesn't. It comes off as, oh yeah, this is totally a guy in a costume. So I've kind of felt like that was unnecessary. But the overall design of them, I like when you see like the back of the head. It kind of has like a brain look to it, and kind of like one of those monster fish faces with like sharp teeth and whatnot. And apparently I think they only had like, oh, I forget how many. They didn't have very many of the suits, like full-bodied suits. I think 2 or 3 or something like that. So in that scene when they're just attacking the whole town at the carnival thing or whatever, that's just a lot of really very clever editing to make it look like there's more mayhem going on than there actually is. There were some that they had maybe like half suits for, so they're only shooting the creature from the waist up. Which I think would be hilarious to be on set and see in this, plant monster wearing jeans, or not plant monster, the sea monster wearing jeans or whatever.
Or not wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Porky Pig in it, just nothing below.
But but yeah, I mean, it's probably comes off a lot more gross by today's standards with the rapey fishmen. But I still think it's a lot of fun, and I would have to say, like, whatever you think of this movie, I think the big payoff is that final shot, that final scene in the movie that you didn't bring
the
up.
alien birth.
Yeah, the birthing scene.
I didn't want to. I want people to watch it. It's just I didn't want to give that away. But
sure.
If you're a TNA kind of guy, this movie will not disappoint you. It's there's a truck wreck that I just think is absolutely hysterical. It's one of those things. It's like when you watch these old movies, it's just like if somebody has like a fender bender, like bumps like into like a telephone pole, like backs into it, like instantaneously the truck is going to explode. It's just one of those. It's just one of those kinds of things. It's really kind of silly, I think. Everything must explode. Everything has to have like this big grandiose flair to it, I suppose. God, there's more. Some of the injuries that the townspeople get are really good too. You're seeing like rib cages and people like the guy that got his face torn off. Like when you first see the creature, that was
the scene at the beach. You talking about that one?
Yeah, Jerry's gets his face torn off.
Yeah, I love that shot. I mean, obviously, where half of his face is gone when the monster slashes at his face. When he's fighting underwater, with the monster in 5 feet of water, but the woman can't tell what's going on. Yeah.
The one thing that I was just like, when they're they're looking for these potential monsters or whatever, and they're all out in the boat, and then they get on to the raft, and these things are like so mysterious, and nobody can find them, and then they go up to the beach near where the caves are, and they're the monsters are just chilling on the beach, just sunbathing, okay, here we are, we were here the whole time. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. But yeah, I don't have much more to say. I mean, if you take it for what it is, you should have fun. It's to me it's it's a midnight movie. I mean, it's a Roger Corman movie, even though it's Roger Corman didn't do much on it, but it's one of those just a midnight movie. I mean, you could almost see Elvira hosting this.
Yeah, this was a first time watch for me, and also an unwrapping for me. I've had this. I won a collection of these Roger Corman Presents Blu-rays a long time ago, and I was happy when you said this one, just so I could have an excuse. That knocks another one off my list. And it was pretty much what I expected out of it. It was a little more, a little more rapey than I thought it would be. I'm sorry we keep using that word, but definitely has that. And it's one of those ones where you're watching and you hope that the wife doesn't come in during a few of the scenes. But it still has that Roger Corman hokey sort of B-movie feel to it, but not really bad. I wouldn't even, like you said, probably an Elvira movie, but not quite a Mystery Science Theater movie.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between, but it's definitely something I would, I'll throw in every once in a while. It's not my favorite of his movies. Definitely not something I would have bought, but the fact that I won the DVD or Blu-ray actually and got to finally unwrap it and watch it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I watched it with Tina, so the try to use a different word. The sexual assault stuff was a lot, and also the Native American stuff.
Yeah, we didn't touch base on that, where it gets a bit, yeah.
So all that kind of wasn't great. I mean, the good stuff's good, but there's a lot of not good stuff in it. I thought it. I've seen it before. It feels way more like a 50s, 60s movie than a movie that came out in 1980.
Well, even the score doesn't really seem to fit with the 80s violence and sex that's in the movie. You know what I mean? It feels more like a more classic monster movie score.
Definitely. So it's a weird one for that. Definitely, yeah, falls in more of the Atomic Age vibe of movie, but it wasn't. Yep. Humanoids for monsters.
Humanoids from the deep.
Otherwise known as Monster.
Oh, is that the alternate title?
Yeah.
Nice. I like the title as it is, though. Those goofy ass titles is the shit I love.
Yeah, Rapey Merman must have been already taken.
Yep.
But I want to go back to that scene that I was joking about with the couple in the tent.
Yeah.
with the ventriloquist dummy. Did you guys notice the shot where the creature gets into the tent and is attacking the guy, and the ventriloquist dummy's eyes move? What's that?
So rips his shoulder open, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That looked good.
It cuts back to a close up of the dummy, and the dummy's eyes shift. Nobody's working the dummy. He just shifts his eyes on his own. No, I'm like, that's kind of it's almost like an airplane style humor moment there. With a movie that is trying to have some levity to it amongst all of the all the sex and violence, but that one's just way out of place. Doesn't even make sense, and I love it for it.
Yeah,
Just
agreed. I
gravity.
mean, I thought it's definitely a scene that really stands out in the movie. But I think when they had the girl run out of the tent all naked and stuff. I mean, I think it really looked like a different girl to me than the one that was actually in the tent for the close-ups. I mean, it just did to me, like, her size and stature just looked different. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm not gonna complain that's
You're more
that's
than
two
likely
naked
right.
that's two naked chicks other than one. So I mean, what am I bitch about? Sorry, I'm a pig.
All
But
right.
I got a late up, but I got one. But I got a wife to love me, so I guess I'm pretty lucky. So, well, at least I think she loves me. Now she's listening in the other room. All right, I'm shut up now.
They did a remake of this in '96, and it was part of
I
like
saw that.
yeah, it was a part of a package. I think it was for HBO of Roger Corman films that were remade, and all of them sucked. All of these like remakes from like 95, 96 that were made for HBO are terrible. And Humanoids is really bad because for that version they just reused all of the footage from the original movie. Just filmed new actors and then just used all the original Humanoid footage.
I was
Weird.
just saying, I don't think they were making Olympia beer in '96. They bought a whole fucking truckload of that shit in that movie.
Yeah.
How'd they do that scene?
I mean that's definitely a Roger Corman move. If you ever go back and if you ever watch Not of This Earth with directed by Jim Wynorski, which is a remake of an old
Tracy
50s.
Lords, right?
Yeah, Tracy Lords is in it. But almost like 80% of that movie is just footage used from other Roger Corman movies.
Well, when I was reading his documentary, anytime when Corman went to color with Fall of the House of Usher, when they were burning the house down, right? They had close-up footage of this big wall of fire, and it's falling down. Well, they basically shot footage of a guy burning down a barn, and it's all close-up stuff. He said, I used that close-up of that wall, falling and burning in like half a dozen movies. You will see that image at least 5 or 6 times. You'll see it like in, I don't know if you'll see it in Pit and Pendulum, but you'll definitely see it in House of Usher because that's what it was originally used for. But I think I used it in more than one of my Poe films, and probably, I don't know, maybe Conqueror. Did he do Conqueror Worm?
Yes, I think so.
Well, he might have used it in that too, but he's like that. There's a big wall of fire that you will see like reused constantly.
Well, he did that a lot. He did that all the time. When Peter Bonvanovich's first movie, Targets, with Boris Karloff, which is a great freaking movie. Roger Corman told Peter, he's like, you can make whatever you want, but you have to put Boris Karloff in the movie because we have a contract to have him for X amount of days. We finished this other film that he was working on, and he still owes me 2 days. So you have 2 days with Boris Karloff, and you have to use recycled footage from one of the Poe films. I forget which one. And so, Peter did an ingenious thing where like the Poe footage is actually a movie within the movie. Instead of forcing it into the story, he just puts it as a movie within the movie.
Because it's at a drive-in, right?
The end scene, but it starts off with that Poe footage at the beginning, as they're watching it through an editing machine because the movie's about Boris Karloff, who's this soon-to-be retired old horror movie actor. Documentary, kind of thing. But it's his storyline is juxtaposed with this storyline of like this guy going around sniping people off of from building tops and stuff. So
Nice.
it's a really cool flick. And again, just ingenious of Peter to take what he was told to do and do something completely outside of the box. But Hollywood Boulevard, Joe Dante's first movie, also was the same thing. Like they used so much footage from other films to make that movie look way more expensive than it actually was.
Now, did Scorsese probably have to do the same thing with Boxcar Bertha?
I don't know. I've never seen Boxcar Bertha, but probably.
I only asked that because all those guys kind of got their start working for Corman anyway.
Oh yeah, most definitely. All right. Well, I think we've strayed so far from humanoids, so must mean it's time to move on. Jason, what movie did you unwrap for this episode?
The movie that I unwrapped was from 1992, way back when movies were awesome.
Travel with us, will you?
We go back.
1992.
And I unwrapped Stuart Gordon's Fortress.
30 stories below ground, halfway to hell, and no way out.
What'd they give you?
31 years.
You are about to enter the Fortress, a privately owned maximum security prison operated by the Mentel Corporation.
John Brunick, the most decorated captain in the history of the Black Beret.
Prisoner 95763, step forward to be intestinated.
You have nothing. You are nothing.
We will monitor your behavior.
I don't think you realize your predicament. You have nowhere to hide.
We will control your thoughts.
The law is clear. We must maintain the population balance.
We will invade your dreams.
This is an unauthorized thought process. So touchy.
Disobedience will not be tolerated.
It's been in there for 3 days, and no one has ever lasted 4.
You will be enhanced and reprogrammed to be a more efficient human being.
When my kind are in the majority, there will be no more overpopulation.
A high-tech prison
Who started the incident?
built to withstand anything
Let's find out.
except an innocent man.
We go tomorrow morning. Activate the strike clone.
Christopher Lambert, Fortress, where the punishment is the ultimate crime.
Going out won't be fun. No, but it's gonna be a trip.
When a couple break the population law in a fascist future U.S., they find themselves imprisoned in a maximum security jail, a fortress. As an extra security measure, inmates are implanted with a device which explodes if they escape, but despite the odds stacked against them, the couple decide they must attempt the impossible and escape. Yeah, hadn't seen this one. All I want to really say is, Mike, I wish you'd have chimed in sooner that this wasn't a horror movie, so we didn't have to actually watch it. I'm sorry, fellas, I didn't. That's a stinker.
I don't know.
Whoa.
I think this this topic is good for that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know we're a horror podcast, but this is horror adjacent.
Well, I thought so. That's what.
Yeah, I'd call this more horror adjacent than another one we're going to talk about later. But
Right, Stuart Gordon.
yeah, Stuart Gordon. It's got some gore in it, and
It's got some Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Combs.
Combs.
it's definitely sci-fi.
Tom
Which-
Towles.
which is almost like horror's, stepbrother.
Yeah, that's yep. I didn't like it so much.
Huh.
That's right.
That surprises me.
Yeah, for the guy who likes everything.
Oh, I couldn't. Well, I'm trying to be nice. It was a turd. It was a turd and a half. I hate bad sci-fi, and this seemed awful. There was just so much endless awful. Okay, now stop.
Is this one of those? Because I know you're a fan of smart people movies, where like people in movies do smart things, and this movie tries to be a smart person movie with its really bad non-science, illogical science.
I love Kurtwood Smith. He's awesome.
Yeah,
He's great. I love Jeffrey Combs. His character is awesome and my favorite part of the whole movie.
yeah, he steals the movie.
Yeah.
But if I never see a Christopher Lambert movie again, it won't be.
You're not a fan of the
Fuck
Christopher
no.
Lambert, huh?
No. God.
The man who, anytime he
terrible.
speaks, sounds like he's being overdubbed. And you still can't understand what he's saying?
Come on, Stuart Gordon. What the hell? Did you lose a bet? Did you have to. What? So maybe someone else should talk about this movie.
Maybe I liked it because I went in. I saw the cover and it's from my least favorite I don't know time period of movies in general.
Oh yeah.
The early '90s just were not
Nope.
for me. A lot of them, and then it being a sci-fi, and I saw the cover and I'd never heard of it, and I didn't know any of the cast. I didn't know who directed it. I knew nothing about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this anyway, so I might as well just dive in. Thinking it was just going to be complete garbage, straight to video shit from my childhood, and I did not hate it because of that. I had my expectations buried so fucking deep that I was like, well, this is actually when some of the credits start popping up, I'm like, all right, I like all these people, and just some of the cast and crew. I mean, it's just so many, Tom Towles But when Jeffrey Combs pops up with that hair and those glasses, I was like, yes, I'm so now. And I just enjoyed it from that point on. I sort of, like I said, I expected so little that when I watched it, and I think towards the end, it sort of lost some of my interest. But right when it kicked off, I was all about it. I was enjoying the hell out of it. It knows that it's not good. I don't think it took itself too seriously. I think as it went along, it got progressive.
Are you sure that they didn't try really hard to make a good sci-fi movie? Because
I don't know.
I think they did. I mean, that's why I think it's bad. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I feel so bad because really, really crappy early 90s sci-fi is a guilty pleasure for me for some odd reason. I'm taking this movie for what it is. I mean, it's not great, it's not Total Recall by any means, the first one. But I have like I said, it's a guilty pleasure for me because I love movies like Stuart Gordon did Robot Jocks. He did Arena. Well, no, he didn't do Arena, but Arena's a really good one. And
That's the thing. You're naming full moon movies right there, and this is not a full moon picture. But I have a feeling Jason thinks it's a full moon picture.
It's lumped in.
It can totally easily come off as a full moon picture.
But stupid shit like Cyborg Cop and stuff like that. Why did I like them? I don't know. I mean, I probably didn't have anything better to do when I was 12 or 13. So, I said I'll just sit down and watch this, and I guess they kept me company. I've put it this way. I've definitely seen worse. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I'm not really in love with it, but I there's other cheesy early '90s sci-fi that I like better. I'll just say that. But points definitely for Tom Towless. Hopefully I'm saying that guy's name right. Rest in peace. Points for Clifton, Gonzalez, when he was named by this name, now going by Clifton Collins. Points for Vernon Wells. You know, you always got to give points for Wes. Kurtwood Smith, and I don't think I recognized any other faces in this. Oh yeah, and of course Raiden, Christopher Lambert.
Well, I must be. It's. I'm going to assume then this is probably a nostalgia piece for me because I like this movie, and but I remember watching it back then. I could swear that I saw this in the theater. I'm probably wrong, but I could have sworn I've seen this in the theater. Every time I watch this, I'm like, I think I remember seeing this in the theater. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Do you really think this got a theatrical release?
Some places it did. If it played in Iowa, that stands to be, seen. But I'm assuming it had some theatrical run. I don't know. I could have sworn I did. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of cheesiness to it. I think to me, it always stands out amongst a lot of that bad sci-fi from the early '90s. For me, it kind of was one that rises to the top, and I'm definitely one that's critical of sci-fi. I guess maybe I just like the whole, prison film, prison film genre aspect of it. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I recognize that there's some bad stuff with this movie, like Christopher Lambert. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan either. I used to be way into Highlander back in the day, and I don't even know if I could maybe tolerate even watching that anymore, just because he's not a good actor. I'm sorry, but for me also, his character is not a good guy. I mean, he only has one thing he gives a shit about, and that's his wife. And so much so that in the third act, when everybody's trying to work together to break out of the prison, they all basically just end up sacrificing themselves only for this woman that they've never met. All these other people, all these other inmates are getting killed off one by one throughout the third act for a woman they've never met before, because that's his only goal. And it really dawned on me when D-Day, played by Jeffrey Combs, is like hacking the computer there at the end, and the prison guards or whatever you want to call them break in and shoot him down, and Christopher Lambert lands out a big no, and it just dawned on me in that moment. He's not upset that D-Day is getting killed. He's upset because D-Day can't finish hacking the computer to free his wife from, so Christopher Lambert's not a good guy. And nobody else gets out of this movie alive except for him and his wife. Even there at the very end, when the one other guy does get away with them, and then lo and behold, they're still not completely free. So yeah, and there's definitely a lot of fun magic science in this movie. There's no way you could take a magnet and force those explosive devices out of the body by going from the stomach up through the esophagus and out the mouth. No, it would using a magnet.
It would rip through them.
Oh yeah, it would rip the hell out of their insides. There's no way. So
I love the fact that this movie takes place in 2017. By the way,
yeah, I forgot this was a period piece. It takes place in the past. But yeah, and so it's probably, for me, it is probably a nostalgia piece, and just based on who's involved. It's a Stuart Gordon picture. It's got It's got Cookwood Smith in it. And I'm the biggest RoboCop fan on the planet. It's got Jeffrey Combs, got Tom Towles, who, to me, both of those guys, it's their movie as far as I'm concerned. Like, Tom Towles is just awesome as this dirtbag prisoner.
He was a great character actor in general, dude.
Oh.
I mean, just
yeah, gone too soon. He's just always played assholes and was unapologetic for it. It's great.
The thing is, it's just like it took me the longest time to put together because his characters were so different. I didn't realize that they were played by the same guy, but I couldn't put together that he was the sheriff in House of a Thousand Corpses, and he was also Cooper in the Night of the Living Dead, Savini's Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yep.
And I was just like, I know they're similar, but I was just like, to me, they just were. He was such a good character actor. To me, they were just two different people. I was just like,
nice.
There's no way they could be the same guy. And I was just like, wow. He's actually he's so good, dude. That's when I was convinced he is really, really good actor.
He is. I mean, and I've always been a fan of him, dating all the way back to Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So,
Yep,
Otis, yeah. So I've followed his career, big time. I'm kind of bummed because I feel like this was probably supposed to be Stuart Gordon's big break into the mainstream. This movie was originally supposed to star Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're talking at the top of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, this was a movie that was going to be a big action sci-fi film in theaters. It had to have been if it came close to having Arnold Schwarzenegger in it during this time frame. And I think like Arnold was obligated to do a different film or something like that. And that's why he didn't end up doing it. And so it's kind of a bummer.
Junior?
What's that? Junior?
Junior?
Maybe. I don't know. So it's kind of a bummer that Stewart kind of lost his chance at the big leagues, I think. His next closest call to the big leagues was, being one of the story writers for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise. But
that's right.
But still, it almost feels just like, hey, we have this idea, and then they give him a credit for it. But I thought I'd read somewhere too that Stuart Gordon at one time was optioned to direct on I Shrunk the Kids. I don't know I can't remember if that's true or not. But
I think he was.
Oh, okay, cool. So it kind of sucks. Like we talk all the time about the trajectory of like John Carpenter's career, on how like movies like The Thing ruined his career for a while, and this, that, and the other thing, blah, 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 blah. But, John Carpenter still had, a lot of most of his filmography in mainstream theaters, right? And Stuart Gordon never really got that big of a break, so it's kind of a bummer. Does everyone get a chance to voice their thoughts on Fortress? Tad, did you?
Yeah, I think I said all I need to say about it. I didn't hate it, just didn't love it either.
Sure.
Better than I thought, but low expectations.
I know there's a sequel.
Yeah, I never did see the sequel. No, thank you.
Nope. I'm just saying I have a Blu-ray for sale. Anybody wants to get a hold of me. I think what half of it is like, for humanoids, Tina, I don't know if you know this, but she's a really good riffer. So, like, oh man, she was just on her game watching humanoids. So it was really fun. And then when it came time to this movie, I'm like, I need you most now. And I don't know if she was asleep or was doing laundry or something, but I didn't have her in full game mode, and I think it would have really helped. But
why did you buy this on Blu-ray?
Fuck, I don't know. I think
I
this
didn't
one's.
even know you could get it on Blu-ray.
Sure can. Man, it looked good.
You know where you could buy one.
Yeah, I know where guys can buy one. No,
I'm waiting for the 4K.
Oh, jeez. You just keep waiting.
The Shout Factory Special Edition produced by Justin Beam.
Don't put it past them. Don't put it past them.
Oh, good.
Interview with super fan Jason Bollinger.
Well, I would be on the. I would. No.
In a heartbeat. Yeah.
No. I'm not a fan.
Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, then we can move on. Tad, what's our next movie?
Well, this one is one I've had for quite a while. It's actually a DVD, not a Blu-ray, and I think I picked it up in one of either like a Walmart bargain bin or I don't know, maybe at Big Lots for a couple bucks, something. But this one is another one I was not sure if it would be horror enough for the podcast.
Nope.
Turns out not quite, but I still think it's probably, I don't know, judging from your comments, I don't think you agree, but I would say just from the tone and the feel of it, it definitely felt more horror adjacent than the last movie than Fortress for me. Yeah. But this movie is directed by the Martin Scorsese, 1999, called Bringing Out the Dead, starring Nick Cage. Written by Paul Schrader, of course. Has a fantastic cast.
6'2" Young is here, baby. And I'm gonna take care of you.
Thursday started out with a bang. Heat, humidity, moonlight, all the elements in place for a long weekend. I was good at my job. There were periods when my hands moved with the speed and skill beyond me.
How long have you been doing this?
5 years.
Wow, you must have seen some things, huh?
But in the last year, I'd started to lose that control. I've been seeing the ghosts.
You ever notice people who see things are always crazy?
I just needed a few slow nights, followed by a couple of days off.
There's a double shooting, 41st and 8th.
What happened to chest pain, difficulty breathing, fractured hands?
Don't even slow down, just keep on moving.
Nobody loves me, Chris.
You have the power, Jesus, to spare this worthless man. Rise up! I'll be begging!
Damn, you guys are good.
I'm on my way out. Anytime now.
Nobody gets fired, son. Look at me.
You swore that you'd fire me if I came in late again. You swore.
I'll fire you tomorrow.
My old man's a bus driver, mom a nurse. Sort of born to it, I guess.
Rule number 1, don't get involved with patients' daughters, you understand?
Our mission to save lives.
Blast off!
Help others and you help yourself. That was my motto. I understood how crazy it was to think this way. Then something good will happen. Everything just glows.
Here's to the greatest job in the world.
Frank! Are you okay?
Never felt better in my life. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Story, I'm going to just read the tag or the synopsis. Haunted by the patients he failed to save, an extremely burned out Manhattan ambulance paramedic fights to maintain his sanity over 3 fraught and turbulent nights. Now this one, like I said, stars Nicolas Cage as that ambulance driver, has Patricia Arquette as sort of the love interest, has John Goodman as one of the other paramedics that rides with him, his normal partner. Ving Rhames is sort of a part-time partner that he gets paired up with.
And it also stars Billy D. Williams' hairstyle on Ving Rhames in this movie.
Yes. looks like a wig on him. Got Tom Sizemore as another one. Got Mark Anthony in this. This is just so weird to me. I remember finding the DVD, and this was like, what the hell, Scorsese directed this? I had no idea when it came out. I saw the cover and the poster is just gorgeous. I love the poster art for this.
Yeah, it is a cool poster.
And that's probably why I picked it up, but it's been on my shelf forever. And when this came about the last time we did the first unwrapping episode, this was in contention, and something else went out, and I finally am like, I just need to watch this one, whether it's horror or not. And basically, like I said earlier, Nick Cage plays. This might be, I don't know. I wasn't sure what year this came out until after I watched it, checked the date, and it's newer than I thought it was. But it definitely feels like maybe this is sort of the beginning of what we have now for Nick Cage. You know what I mean? Like, I looked at it and I'm like, Scorsese, Nick Cage, this might be like in the time period when Nick Cage was considered like a real legit good actor. And he's fantastic in it, I think. Delivers a great performance, but he definitely has those moments that we know and love him for in this movie. But it also fits the character, so it's not Nick Cage just being crazy to be crazy. It's this guy who's completely burnt out. He's actually trying to get fired, but they simply won't do it. He's losing his mind. He's haunted by a young girl that he could not save, so he sees her face on all these other victims and patients that he sees on the streets. And there's some really gripping stuff in this one. Like, they're driving around New York, of course, because of Scorsese. So it's sort of a mix of taxi driver, but ambulance driver. It could have just been called ambulance driver. And I just love all the performances in this. I love how manic it is. I love the chaos in the emergency room when they bring in people into the emergency room and how bad it gets. And we sort of learn about some of the regulars that are there that have drug problems or have mental illnesses. So we're introduced to several of these characters. I thought it was fantastic. I really like this one. Of course, I don't know if I've ever seen a Scorsese movie I didn't like. But man, I don't know. This probably is not even near the top of my favorite Scorsese movies, but
yeah,
I thought it was pretty damn good. What do you guys think?
I think when Tom Sizemore is asking you if you are okay and you're acting crazy, you are pretty fucking crazy. I'm kind of on the same wavelength as Tad. I thought it was a really good movie. It's not in my favorites of Scorsese movies, but I like it when directors, they kind of tend to step out of their comfort zone. Like, it doesn't have to be about, the mafia. It doesn't have to be about, just, crime all the time with Scorsese. When he can do something like this, when it's about helping people as opposed to, like, seeing people just hurt each other all the time, or it almost echoes, it's a grittier way. It's almost like a grittier version of After Hours. Did you guys ever see that?
I love After Hours.
Yeah, I mean that's of course is a comedy, and but I mean this is basically more of like the grim reality of street life that an ambulance driver would see, and all this is most of this stuff is happening, after hours, I guess. But yeah, I mean it's refreshing to see, Scorsese do something that's a little different, as opposed to, like, either crime or just, really rich people's decadent lifestyle.
But it definitely, it's different but familiar to him because it's just the gritty streets of New York, Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have De Niro anywhere in it, which, whoa, man, what are you doing? Has no Joe Pesci. So New York is sort of the character that he's reusing here, the grimy streets of New York. And I didn't mention it, but the story of how he meets Mary, who's Patricia Arquette. He actually goes and saves her dad, who's had a heart attack, and sort of just speaking with her through that. He's sort of having an internal crisis over this because he knows that her dad is basically, he's dead, but they keep reviving him just to keep him alive. And that to me is a little, sometimes the horrors of real life are more scary than, supernatural or anything. And that's, to me at least, and maybe I'm just saying this to make myself feel better that we're on a horror podcast talking about it, but I mean, it has some supernatural elements to it. And like I said, the horrors of real life, like their friend, what was his name? Noel. No, what was it? Whoever the crazy lunatic, yeah.
Yeah, Noel, yeah.
Mark Anthony.
Yeah, which is absolutely you almost unrecognizable in that role. But that whole sideline, that story with him is deeply sad but also horrific too. So, has anyone else seen this before?
I had not.
No,
I knew of it, but it was the one. I wasn't purposely avoiding it, but I had not seen. This is probably the one Scorsese movie I had not seen, except for Last Temptation of Christ. But that's on the to-do list as well. So,
well, we're hitting Easter here pretty soon, so
there you go.
You or me?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I had seen it before. A huge Scorsese fan. I love. The cast is incredible. Nick Cage is great. He's either super subdued or he's not had enough sleep and goes kind of crazy. But he's good in it, and I love everybody. Goodman and Arquette and everybody is awesome. I love the writer. I mean, Taxi Driver is probably my favorite Scorsese film. I like a lot of Paul Schrader stuff. I guess to me it doesn't add up to good. I think a lot of the scenes are great. All the pieces are great. A lot of the scenes and set piece. I just don't know that it adds up to good for me. So I find. Go ahead.
Do you think it's because you have such high expectations out of everybody involved? Do you feel like if this was your first if you knew nothing about Scorsese going into this, would you think it was better?
No, I don't. It's not the Scorsese stuff that does anything wrong. I guess to me, I mean, yeah, I like the gritty New York. I like the color. The style is neat, but I just don't know that it's either I'm so dumb that I don't get it. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I'm invested all the way because they're not great people. I don't know how to say it right. Again, all the individuals, I think all the scenes with Mark Anthony are awesome. I think he did an amazing job. John Goodman's accent, and he's so fun, and
he was probably my favorite part of this movie.
Oh yeah, and Ving Rhames was great, and Tom Sizemore was awesome, and that was Cliff Curtis. I like him a lot too. I like everybody, and I like this.
So it had all the right ingredients, but you didn't like the the dish at the end.
I just didn't like the dish. Yeah, I like a lot of the ingredients individually. It had all the right makings. It just didn't add up to me, and I don't. It's hard to. I've been trying to think about it. I mean, trying to think of how to say it all weekend, but I don't. because it's all there. I mean, it has plenty of amazing ingredients. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's just the storytelling. I don't know if it's I don't understand what's actually going on with him and the ghosts and things, or if that kind of story is interesting to me at all. Do ambulance drivers just drive around like taxi cabs and wait for a call, or do they go back to the? See, I'm like, this seems weird.
Depends. I think it sort of depends on the city, I imagine, and the time period. Like in a small town, yeah, the ambulance drivers, there's a time when they're probably sitting at a station just waiting. But I imagine in a big city that they're always in need, so they probably don't bother going back.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just didn't do it for me. I don't not like it. I just don't know what it is. It just didn't do it.
This is the Jason takes a dump on everything episode.
God, I think so.
No, I don't think you've been dumping on anything. He just this one he's especially gentle on. I'm just surprised that the guy who loves everything didn't like a Scorsese movie.
That's what's weird. It's like I'm supposed to, and it's just not there.
Said this is.
And that's okay. That's good.
I feel like you're close or even farther away from me, Mike. But
well, I just want to ask you though. You said that you've seen this before.
Yeah.
I mean, is the feeling the same?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if it's just. I don't think it's boredom. I don't think it's boring. Because it's not slow burn things. I just don't. I don't know.
It's not slow burn, but it is a lot of the same thing over and over and over and over again. There's just certain points of the movie I'm like, I'm not given anything new here. Okay, I guess it's my turn, or were you done?
Yeah, because I'm just rambling about nothing. Okay, I don't know.
I'm going to try really hard to be nice. I'll get one joke out of the way, and then I used to be a Scorsese fan. Now that I've got that out of the way.
Whatever.
But no, because I feel like I don't hate this movie. I'm probably not going to have a ton of nice things to say. But I think, I feel like the older I get, the more circumstances affect my enjoyment of things. And, this is a movie I've always just kind of like not watched on purpose. And now watching it for the podcast and also knowing it's like, this isn't really a horror movie, I don't know. But what it is, and when because I'm kind of the same thing with you, Jason, that I'm just not invested in any of this, and I think it's because when it comes to hyper reality movies, it's really hit or miss with me. And this is a movie that's super, in my opinion, super hyper reality. You can't tell me. You can't, yes, I don't live in New York. I don't know what the ER units are like in New York hospitals, especially in maybe bad parts of New York or whatever in the 90s. I can't imagine it would be that bad all the time. But more importantly, you can't tell me that you can flip an ambulance in the middle of the street and walk away from it and there's no repercussions or no mentioning of it ever again.
Well, that's where
where it just feels like these series of events happen and it's beyond our normal reality. Because this is in a hyperactive reality that is probably 95% in Nicolas Cage's brain, the over violence of it and the over exaggerated of things is excused in this world.
Yeah, I guess I can't remember how you said it already, but I don't see it as a super based in reality.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's totally a stylized version, and that is cool and fine. I just don't.
It just depends. Yeah, this one doesn't do it for me. Yes, because like I said, it's hit or miss with me as well when it comes to movies that are in an exaggerated reality like this. Give me a movie like Repo Man, I love it. Give me Natural Born Killers, I hate it. But and a lot of it has to do with like I can't get invested if I don't have anything to cling on to, and I don't have anything comparatively to cling on to in this movie. And I feel like it is rather repetitive. I mean, to me, John Goodman is my favorite part of the whole movie because honestly, most of the other characters in this movie annoyed me. Like Ving Rhames, I love Ving Rhames, but when he's going on about when he is refusing to do his job with the punk rocker that OD'd until they like listen to him give his sermon or whatever, I'm like, oh no, him and his like God sermon stuff through all his scenes just grated on me big time. I don't think Tom Sizemore realized he was in a movie.
That's possible.
I think that's just Tom Sizemore. I mean,
so him beating the shit out of the ambulance was just like him on set, and they just decided to let Nicolas Cage walk by.
Yeah, exactly. Or when he's beating on Mark Anthony, I think that was real because I did see in the IMDb trivia that they almost got in a real fight on set.
Yeah, like legit. Yeah, I read that too.
But yeah, I'm sorry. This is just and I sometimes I think maybe like people get the wrong impression of me on this show. I like stylized stuff. I really do. Like I don't expect a camera just to be static and you deliver realistic dialogue in front of me and then call that a movie. Like I like, flashy editing and fun camera angles and stuff, but like a lot of it in this movie felt out of place at times and it just it just did not. And I'm a Scorsese fan as well. I really, really am. You mentioned After Hours. That's actually one of my favorites Scorsese films. Which is weird because you can probably make a lot of parallels between these two movies. But this one, this one just not so much. Like we're trying to think of more movies to compare it to as far as this hyper reality goes that I'm talking about. Like I'm just blanking right now. Actually, all day I've been trying to think of movies to compare it to because I know there's a lot of movies out there that like shit happens in this movie that would not happen in reality. It was cool that Martin Scorsese was the voice of the dispatch guy.
Yeah.
But right away, that's when I really felt like the tone of the movie for me is during his dispatch stuff because it's like I wouldn't even think in New York that the dispatch would talk to their ambulance drivers like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but it seems way out of reality for me. But it was still cool hearing him because instantly I'm like, that's Scorsese. That's Scorsese doing it. It's awesome, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of some funny moments. But yeah, sorry, not for me. So, bummer. All right, well, the last movie we're going to talk about, the one I unwrapped for this episode, is from 2011, and that is called The Thing. You're like, wait, what? The Thing? I thought that was in the 80s. No, this is the new one. The newer one from 2011. The new one after the 80s thing, but takes place before the 80s thing. Does your brain hurt yet?
48 hours ago, we found something quite remarkable.
What'd they find?
There's a structure.
In Antarctica.
And a specimen.
Really?
Touching down. This is Kate Lloyd's, Columbia Paleontology.
Let me show you why you flew 10,000 miles. We estimate it's been here 100,000 years.
Well, I'm going to take a tissue sample.
Do you really think that's a good idea?
Yes, I do. You, my friends, will all be immortalized as the people who made this discovery.
you hear that?
My God.
Somebody was attacked.
But it seems everyone is fine.
Either someone miraculously healed themselves, or someone is not who they say they are.
What was it doing to him?
It's imitating his cells. I think this thing copies its prey and then hides inside it.
What are you saying?
Not all of us are human. Could be any of us. We can't let this thing leave. If it makes it out of here, millions of people could die.
So what it is about, well, much like the 80s thing, a group of researchers in Antarctica discover not an alien aircraft, the alien aircraft that unleashes the thing across the frozen tundra. So I joke and I jest, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was a good movie. Is it like a cinematic masterpiece like John Carpenter's movie? No, but it's not fair to compare it to John Carpenter's movie by any stretch of the imagination. Is it a fun
It's not
alien?
fair to compare any movie to another movie.
No. So, is it a fun alien in the snow, don't know who to trust type of, fun, sci-fi horror romp? Absolutely it is. What I was kind of, if I was to make comparisons to the original, it's as if this movie shows all of the scenes that John Carpenter didn't show us of the creature turning into other people. Like a lot of times it was just so happened that was the alien in John Carpenter's movie. You didn't see the transformation, but this has a lot of transformation stuff going on in it.
I don't know if you guys remember, but like when this movie first started happening, they actually promoted it as a prequel, which it is.
Yeah, it takes place. It literally takes place
Then
before.
they completely stopped saying that, and it doesn't say that anywhere on any of the stuff. Anywhere.
Do you think it has
Which
to
is
do
a
with
bummer?
Do you think that has to do with the ending? The ending, like the credit thing, the credit sequence? Because
Well, that
it
is
feels like
the lead into the John.
Yeah,
I mean,
it feels like that's supposed to be a big reveal. Did it not feel that way to you? Like I knew it was coming because we all knew this was a prequel,
right?
But it almost felt like here's the big surprise.
I didn't.
This
see it,
leads into the other one.
I didn't see it as a surprise. I saw it as, hey, they
Like a cool
literally
nod.
did it. I'm glad they did. They literally explained
Right.
and ran it right up to the minute of the original.
Of chasing down
I mean, I
that
could
dog
see
in
where
the
you could
helicopter.
say it was like a surprise, but I guess I just saw it more as a like a nod. Like they literally went there and tied it together. Thankfully, because it is all of it is a tie together. All of it
Yeah.
is clearly a prequel. They just stopped promoting it that way. I was always bummed about that when it came out.
The thing that I found interesting is the way
Yeah,
they
the
said
thing.
they constructed this film is towards the end. Joel Edgerton's character said, "There's a Russian base about 50 miles from here." So theoretically, Keith David or Kurt Russell's character if one of those guys was infected, they in turn could invade the Russian base. That does present the possibility of a third film.
You heard it here first. Let's make it.
If these box office totals are correct, though, it's probably never going to happen.
And that's what bums me out about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I watched it with audio commentary for a good portion of it, and then I sort of wanted to just dive back into the movie because it got a little boring. But it had the director and a producer, and it's very, very, very clear they absolutely are loving fans of John Carpenter's film, and very clearly wanted to make this a prequel and wanted that to be very clear. And it's sort of sad listening to the commentary because it was recorded after it was made, but before it was released.
Oh, no.
So you don't and I guess that's good optimism because they don't know that it's about to flop and not do so great at the box office. But hearing them just gush over Carpenter's and how much attention to detail went into replicating certain parts and little tiny things, and the details of what at the time period what they'd be using, and making sure that that they didn't screw up and put a cell phone or a tool that did not exist then and stuff, and it made me really appreciate that. But I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTube videos of the original practical effects they were planning on using in this. And I'm sure it's on the special features of the Blu-ray, but definitely watch the featurettes and stuff because it's a bummer, but the practical effects they were going to do on this would have been so fucking cool.
See, and that was one of probably the biggest bummer I had of this movie, and I didn't want to get on the old CGI soapbox.
Yep.
But at the same time, I feel like it's a little warranted because they did it. They did it practically. And I can't sit here and say it was better because I didn't see it. But if you're saying, Tad, it still looked really cool, then then it is a huge bummer that they made that weirdo last minute decision. Because it's not a lot of times. Well, first of all, anytime your last minute decision is to do CGI, then the CGI is not going to work.
You're in trouble.
CGI works is when it's planned from the beginning. But beyond that, and a lot of times also CGI is used for budgetary reasons. So it boggles the mind to know that they already did the practical shit and then just replaced it with CGI. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, some of that stuff still looks pretty cool, of arms dangling outside of orifices and stuff.
What is there? Fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool. But at the end of the day, the second you see CGI, the first time, you're just like, well, fuck, damn it.
Yeah.
This is clearly, that's where the movie blows it for me. Not to be super practical guy.
No, and it's cool to hear you say this because you've never been the
And what? No, I love CGI. I have no problem with CGI. I'll support it. And what is there is cool. But
you can tell.
But the second I saw it, I'm just like, you blew it, movie.
Yeah. And does that have to do with the original? The fact that the original movie is a pioneer in practical effects, and to this day you still sit there as how the fuck did they do that?
Well, sure, but no, I think it's just your basic anti-CGI reasons.
Really? From you?
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't look like it's in the room.
Okay.
It's not that it's poorly done. It just didn't, I don't know what it is. You just knew.
Yeah.
As soon as you saw it.
Yeah.
But I like this movie a lot, too. It's great to come back and be in this world again. It's fucking awesome to have more of the thing.
It is cool. I would have gone my whole life with it being fine that it never happened.
Sure.
But it's still cool to come back to this world. And my problem a lot of times with franchises, especially when you go backwards, I said it a million times, I hate going backwards in a story. This one, This one tiptoes around everything I know that happens enough that I can still be invested in the story. It's not like I'm sitting there, it's like, I know you're all going to die because you're not in the sequel, you're in the original, shit like that. But when you cannot, but what it drives me nuts with even a sequel or anything in a franchise that doesn't add anything new bugs me. And they added something new to this that I really liked. Because I don't think they ever addressed it in the original, how, like, the thing cannot replicate inorganic material.
That part was great.
And that was cool with the fillings and whatever that thing was, that the brace and the guy that was digested. So I thought that was a cool addition to the whole mythology of this creature.
Absolutely.
That fits perfectly.
But at the same time, it just also, it felt, I hate this to be negative, even though I'm on a roll right now with these movies. But the damn movie just kept going to the same beats.
Yeah.
Why do you have to do or just like, I mean, there were always the little nods, which were cool. Hey, I saw a petri dish. But, like, why does it all, just like the way they came to conclusions was, like, too easy. And
Very like the new Star Wars movies. Like,
it's just kind of the same thing again.
You're telling the same story?
You're kind of telling the same story. And, I mean, I'm not saying the same story wouldn't happen in this, because that's what this story is with this kind of alien. But it came down to blood tests again, and it was just like...
Yeah, but the blood test didn't happen, though.
I know, but there were just so many of the same beats. Again, I like what they added.
Which I thought was interesting. They're like going to all this elaborate thing of blood testing, and all I could think of is like, put the blood in a petri dish and put a torch in it. Like, come on. Did Kurt Russell teach us nothing?
I felt like they came to conclusions a lot faster than they did in the other one.
And I'm assuming flamethrowers are standard Antarctic base.
Right. Like, why a fucking flamethrower again? Why do you have to hit all the same goddamn beats? Again, I mean, I really like this movie. Again, I'll take it.
It could easily be it could be easily overanalyzed by us film fanatics and like end up hating it. But if you just shut the brain off,
I can't hate this.
It's a fun romp.
It's great. This Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's awesome. I didn't realize she's been in so many of these movies. I didn't know that it was her the first time I seen it. And
did you also feel maybe there was like too many characters in this? Because I felt a little lost when it got to that point in the story where like no one can trust anyone, and I'm kind of forgetting who's who at this point.
That's like, like they got to that point so much sooner that we didn't have time. I bet there was more characters in John Carpenter's.
You think?
It's just by the time we got to that, they were defined, but we knew them better this time. I don't know.
I know
I like Eric Christian Olsen a lot. He's great. That little blonde dude. He's in that cheerleader movie that we really like. I never thought I'd say that.
Fired Up.
God damn, that movie's awesome.
He was also, wasn't he Lloyd in Dumb and Dumberer?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I remember him from Beer Fest. That's my movie of choice for him.
Joel Edgerton's awesome. Even in It Came at Night and this movie. But anyway, I'm sorry to vote. What'd you guys think, you kids?
I saw it in theater opening night. I was stoked for it. I really enjoyed it then, but I think I've watched it maybe once since. I watched it right when it came out on Blu-ray, and then I haven't seen it since. Still holds up for me, but I feel like the CGI is worse than I remembered. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm watching on a 4K TV now, and
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But it just especially the scene where they're in the helicopter and the guy turns. That one really threw me off because I remember seeing it in the theater and thinking like I was pretty impressed. And then there was a big uproar amongst the horror fanatics that they had replaced the practical effects with CG. and I sent you guys the link to the YouTube video I'm sort of watching now, and it's just amazing that they.
I think
it's
that'll
not
break
like,
my heart. I don't know if I can watch it.
It's
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, I'm looking at these, the scenes that they filmed with practical effects, and they look gorgeous, and it's so cool. Like, who watched this? And they paid the money, they built it, and they did it. Why cover it? I just don't understand what the hell. I mean, maybe I should watch it one more time with the commentary to see what happened and why. But I know the directors were very against it.
We need a name. We need to blame
director and
some
the producer-
person.
I was going to say, if they're romanticizing Carpenter, shouldn't they stay with the practical effects?
And they wanted to. I just think it was a studio decision.
It's some studio fathead who has no concept of anything. Sits in his little desk with no actual human interaction, other than just snorting his cocaine. Like, we should use CGI because that's what everybody uses.
I don't know, man.
You know,
I mean, it's definitely an unnecessary movie. And I do feel like the studio maybe played a part in also making it. Like, I imagine from just hearing the director and the producer that they both, like I said, were huge fans and in love with the original. I feel like they probably had originally made this its own, very own movie, and the studio came along and was like, let's do a remake, and they sort of probably compromised by doing this it's sort of a prequel reboot, because like you said, it follows a lot of the same beats. If you had never seen the original, you would not even get the ending. They sort of throw it in the credits.
Yeah.
So it stands alone on its own. There's probably people who've seen it had no idea there's another movie, and it has the same damn title. So to me, it's sort of like, maybe like, I don't know, like, it's just, I do wish we had a full-on prequel and had the practical effects, and I don't know, just...
That's just, I figured you would be proud of me, Jason. I tried really hard going into this movie with the most open of mind, because I would be that way. I'm like, no, practical. It's a prequel. It's full of CGI.
A lot of things against it.
It's a lot of things that I don't like. So I shut the brain off. I shut off my film snobbery and just sat back and just watched, monsters with phalanges flapping around.
You love them phalanges.
For an hour and a half.
This movie, for me, it kind of tended me to pose more questions, especially the ending, and it's not, with, spoiler alert, Joel Edgerton, getting torched. That last scene where she's looking through the window, and, I think she's out there, and I think she freezes to death, because there's not like a big bunch of dread on her face, but I don't think that the way that I'm reading the scene, because she's not saying anything, she's like, she's bummed out, she's alone, but I don't think she's got enough gas left in that. Then again, where's she going to go? The base is torched. I think she just knows she's going to eventually be out there and freeze to death, because I don't think she's got enough gas to get back to that Russian base in that other snowcat that she's in. At least that's the way I read it. I don't know if anybody else did.
Yeah.
I like the movie. I for one would have liked practical effects too. It's been a couple of years. It's been more than a few years since I've seen this. I think I bought the DVD when it came out, and I don't think this is like the first time I've watched it since. I will say this: the scariest part for me is the beginning. Is when they wreck that snowcat and they go down.
Awesome. Yeah.
And they get wedged down in there, and just imagining being in that situation, just it's poopy pants time for me. I would freak the fuck out
Yeah, the director on the commentary said that they had to fight for that scene because the studio was like, "Oh, you're gonna." They were just like, "You're gonna open it with subtitles? What are you thinking? That's a horrible idea."
Oh God, this world would be a better place without studio executives.
Yeah,
they signed the checks, so who put it out?
I don't know. And am I alone in this too? That like the part of the movie I hated the most is when they were on the spaceship.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, with the levers or like the shades getting pulled, or whatever. Like when they're
just all of it inside the spaceship. It's so high techy that you're telling me that this alien creature is a higher intelligent life form. So you're telling me that you can't reason with it? You can't try to communicate with it? Like, to me, what makes the thing scary is that it's just a mindless creature that just is trying to survive. And, trying to survive means killing you in the process. The fact that it's just like, comes from the spaceship that has technology well beyond our comprehension tells me that this is an intelligent being that could be reasoned with. But and then the thing
they
is
don't go together.
What's that?
The monster.
It just doesn't. Yeah, the monster
spaceship.
and that spaceship just doesn't go together. Yep.
Yeah.
It also looks like it runs on 8-bit pixels.
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
The exec wanted that in there. So.
Yeah. They also talked a little bit about that and said that I don't remember now which side the director was on, but they had a sort of heated discussion going back and forth on whether they could go. I think the studio was the one that wanted them to go on the ship. They didn't want to. The directors didn't want to. So everything you hate is because of studios.
I believe it.
Isn't that with most movies?
That is most movies.
Yeah. And when are the studios gonna ever realize that?
Why censor the creative output of a person?
Yep.
Well, because you're borrowing their money. So.
But
to be but they're being hired for their creation.
Exactly.
So it's just fucked.
Exactly. I don't even want to get into it. It's just going to stress me out and make me mad. It really is.
So for me,
if you want to hear this kind of conversation, go to the movie crypt.
Oh yeah, today's episode or this week's. Oh fuck. Yeah. So at the end of the day, for me, despite it's what I wished was different. Man, it was fucking awesome to be back in the world of this movie because the John Carpenter's is one of my top 5 all time. It's a perfect movie.
It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes, a fact.
Yes,
undisputable.
Yep.
And
try it, people.
So to get a chance to come back in this world, it's worth putting up with all those poor exec decisions, but there's a lot to like about it too. So
yeah.
That's my take, I guess.
I also thought that scene when she sees the blood in the shower, and then when she comes back, the blood was gone, and she's like, "Somebody cleaned the shower." And I thought, "Oh no, I just assumed the blood got up and walked away because I thought it was thing blood because that's what it would do." And it's like they never have that realization until that moment when he chops at it with the axe. And she tells him to leave the axe there because it's now covered in alien thing blood, and it would totally come alive and attack him that way too. So, that's the only time they ever acknowledge that, like, just even little pieces of it can, like, turn around and kill you.
All the same beats. Why did they have to have a fucking spider guy with the head upside down?
They did.
But they had 2 upside down heads,
Yeah.
so it's different. No, it's the same. Why do you have to do the same goddamn thing? Oh, sorry.
Oh, this is fun. I love seeing you getting this upset about the things that usually make me upset.
It's a couple of years. I think it's been a couple of years ago. I saw a really good The Thing cosplay. Obviously, I've seen several of Kurt Russell or McCready, and they had one. Someone did like a winter coat with a spotlight behind them to get the classic poster art. But
that's cool.
I've seen someone do the actual like creature, like the alien taking over a body, and it's so cool. I'll have to send you guys a picture or video because it had like actual working mandibles and stuff. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
We love mandibles.
Yeah.
And phalanges.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, cool. Well, and I was pretty proud of this pick.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a movie I bought a long time ago, and I've always talked myself out of watching it. Don't even know why I bought it. And now I was forced myself to watch it, so it's like, I bet the guys will appreciate me picking this one. So, yeah. Anyway, but that wraps it up. Or unwraps it up.
Nice.
Look at that. So, what we're going to do now, we no sense of honorable mentions, because...
No. Because we'll be here all night if we're talking about movies you still have to unwrap.
Well, we could go to your collection too there, buddy.
I know.
Okay, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, it'll be segments time here on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
And we're back. And it's time for everybody's favorite segment on the show, Shoutouts.
It's time for
Shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
Okay, so we just asked what horror movies you still got in your shrink wrap on your shelf that you haven't seen before. And we just had a few. I guess everyone else are responsible movie collectors and buyers and watches all their shit when they buy it, because they don't have a lot of responses tonight.
Either that or people are like, people still buy physical copies?
But you could just stream it. No, our fans are collectors.
That's right.
We know
because they're cool.
Right. And if you listen to this show, guess what? You're cool.
That's right.
So we got three shout-outs tonight. Up first, we got Tom Seiler. New one, too, so that's good.
Oh,
Thanks,
nice.
Tom, for checking this out.
Hi, Tom.
He says, Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant, sealed big box VHS.
You need to watch this movie, Tom.
He does.
Telling you, Tom, this movie is awesome.
But this is a sealed big box VHS, so maybe he shouldn't open this version.
Right. Yeah, that's a
but
good
he should
point.
go find it somewhere.
Big box sealed? Like factory sealed?
Yeah. That's
wow.
Dude,
good for you, Tom.
Tom, you're rich.
But he won't sell it because he knows how awesome it is.
That's right.
But the movie is,
awesome.
Yeah, it's better than Fortress. Anyway, okay, so sorry, it's my new Clowntergeist for now. Sorry.
Oh my.
No,
Come
it's
on.
not that bad. It's not that bad.
Oh God.
Sorry to bring it up. Okay, up next we got our pals Nightmare Junkhead. And if you guys haven't listened to the podcast Nightmare Junkhead, you should, because those dudes are awesome. And they're from Kansas City, and we kind of have big crushes on them.
And about maybe once a year we show up on their show.
That's right.
Or on Crypticon.
They say, just finished up Don Dohler's Night Beast for the first time, and yep, it's definitely a Don Dohler film.
Oh, this is the first time you guys have seen Night Beast? Freaking love Night Beast, man. Speaking of VHS, I used to have the VHS copy of that on the Paragon video label. I wish I maybe I do still have it. I don't know. But those Paragon VHSs go for a pretty penny as well in the collector's market. But, I love it. Great movie. You want to talk about a monster's, we're talking about humanoids in the deep, and now the monster's, face don't move. Night Beast, yeah, that's basically just a rubber mask.
Like a new Severin version or something like that. Didn't that get put out?
I don't know if it was Severin. Somebody put out a new
I can't
version.
remember.
It was either them or maybe Vinegar Syndrome.
Could've
I
been.
have it.
Right, I thought you did.
I think it's Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and lastly, tonight for our shout-outs, we got our pal Brian Clark.
Hey, buddy!
Hey, BC, what's up? Oh, he says, trying not to duplicate my answer from last time, because most of these are still sitting there wrapped.
We need to get him on the show so we could start unwrapping.
Yeah, next episode, Brian,
next
you're
time
on
we do
it,
this one.
just to help.
Yeah.
Spookies, and a box set of Gene Roland's first 4 lesbian vampire flicks. Although I've seen at least one of those already, but not all. I also pre-ordered the Al Adamson set from Severin.
Ooh, yeah.
And there are like 30 goddamn movies in that thing. Once again, I've seen some, but not all. I can just about guarantee it'll be a year or better before I get to all of them.
I mean, who in the world, other than Al Adamson himself, has seen all 30 Al Adamson movies? Who could do that? And like Spookies, that's one of your favorites, isn't it, Jason?
No, it is not. It is one of my least favorite. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I'm sure
you might appreciate a little bit more now.
I doubt it, but I remember fucking hating it. I'm a guy who cries awesome, and I like most things. And I think it's one of the first movies I didn't like.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Fortress, 10 being Clowntergeist, where does Spookies fall?
I don't know. It's been so long. It's built up to. It's probably just a 5 in the middle, but
yeah, probably.
May I never know where it falls.
I think I have Spookies on VHS somewhere.
Cool, man. I'm so happy for you. I'm sorry that you lost a bet.
It's actually kind of sought after, so.
Kind of is. It's gained actually quite a bit of cult status over the past 5-6 years.
You know who's not seeking after it? Me.
You.
All right, so we didn't have anybody on Instagram or Twitter, but you can also interact with us over there. And also, if you want to, we have a voicemail. You can leave us a voicemail and let us know what movies you're thinking about unwrapping, or whatever you want to talk about. And you can call us at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP, and that's shout-outs. And now it's time, once again, for everybody's favorite segment, Insane's Picks.
Hey, buddy, what's going on? It's Insane's Picks. What movie am I going to do for this episode? I'm going to go back all the way back to the year 1974 for a little Spanish-Italian film called Let Sleeping Corpses Die, a.k.a. Don't Open the Window, a.k.a. Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, a.k.a. about 100 other titles. Anyway, Let Sleeping Corpses Die is the version I know it of because I have I think it's the Anchor Bay DVD of this movie. And it is an awesome little zombie film, awesome zombie Spanish film, very, very cool film. It's basically about this cop. He's kind of chasing down a couple of hippies that they're suspects of like these Manson-style murders in this like small little town or whatever. But it turns out it wasn't the hippies. It was actually the dead returning to life, and thanks to some chemical pesticides. Which this movie, I used to get it mixed up a lot with Grapes of Death. But I think I've watched Grapes of Death enough because I've fallen in love with that movie over the past 5 or 6 years that I can now finally tell the difference between the two. But it's a crazy, awesome, like again, Spanish zombie film from that time period. Definitely a lot more fun and action packed than say the Blind Dead saga. It's got a little bit of gore, so it definitely has that Italian feel to it as well. There's this nurse in the movie that gets her chest ripped open or like boobs ripped apart and whatnot. And they intentionally casted a flat-chested woman so they can put the prosthetic boobs over top of her. for her kill scene, for her death scene. I like the music in this movie. There's a lot of like breathing and moaning noises throughout the soundtrack, which really adds to the creepiness of the film. Makes it a lot of fun. So, and you can find it under a lot of different titles. This is a film that Edgar Wright was always a big fan of as well, and when he made his fake trailer Don't, it was slightly inspired by this film, or at least from the title of Don't Open the Window. But yeah, I would definitely check it out. I'm not sure. I should have done more research. I'm not sure if it's hit Blu-ray. I would assume it has, because it's kind of a 70s foreign classic film. But I highly recommend checking it out. And again, that is from 1974, Sleeping Corpses Die. So, that's it. That's the episode, gang. If you have movies out there that are still wrapped, unwrap them. Sit back. Watch some movies that you haven't seen before.
Now's a good time.
Now is the great time to do that, yes.
Let them breathe.
Exactly. Some can say do the same for your action figure collection.
No.
Yes.
Tough call.
Depends. It depends.
Yeah, it depends. I think I've finally come to a decision on that debate on taking action figures out of the boxes.
Uh-huh.
And I'm back to leaving them in the boxes.
Oh!
Because I have more wall space than shelf space.
Yep.
And you can hang action figures when they're in the boxes. So
yeah, suck it, Tad. Sorry, he's got more shelf space than all of us. So.
That, and I am so sick and tired of every single day having to pick up my movie maniacs after they've fallen over during the night.
And the dusting.
There's that shit too. But
sorry.
Anyway, I'm wrapping up the show.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Special thanks to the attackers out there for being Patreon supporters, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. See ya.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer.